Okay, hello everybody. Today's date is November 18th, Friday, 2016, and the time is exactly 8:55 a.m. Now, bear with me for a minute. My name is Leslie Williams. I'm a organized stalking, gang stalking target individual, and I'm making this video in order to inform, to expose information, so you can listen to what I state and even research what I state, so you can see how all my statements work together to bring about a foundational understanding concerning the subject matter that's being described. Stay with this video. And I apologize for the way I look. But I'm trying to keep myself warm. Now, if anybody comes to this area as I'm making this video, it will be directly connected to organized stalking, which can also be called gangstalking. Sorry, a couple squirrels are competing for my attention. Stay with this video. Now, I'm going to have to talk fast in this video because I bought a new video camera, and it appears that this video camera only allows me to make 29-minute videos at a time. So I'm going to have to talk fast in order to be able to compose as much information in this video as possible, so you can research what is presented. Now, okay, so here we go. All descriptions can be Googled and in cross-reference, because what I'm going to describe is a very interesting crime. And what interesting means is that there's a lot of different methods that are brought in to work together to complete an objective. Now, just bear with me and you'll understand what I'm saying as I continue to speak. Now, in organized stalking and gang stalking criminal expeditions, and let me just preset for a second. What I'm about to describe is no way at all, in any way, shape, or form, the totality of gang stalking crimes. This is just one feature of specific crimes that they can and are bringing about against gang stalking target individuals. Now, the key to this video is to take my descriptions, okay, and do what I tell you to do, so you can see what I'm telling you is the truth and how it all blends together to achieve the objective. And here we go. My name is Leslie Williams. I now live in San Diego, California, in the community of La Jolla. I am a target, victim, and activist concerning the criminal expeditions of what is called gang stalking, which can also be called organized stalking. Okay, now, I left Michigan, okay, in April of 2011 and went to Connecticut to try and connect with the individual that runs the website Freedom Fighters for America. That Chris Sucker, that individual, hold on. That individual lived in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and the only way to get close to Ridgefield, Connecticut from Michigan was to go to Stamford, Connecticut, and then try to take public transportation in that community to Ridgefield. Okay, and all of the information I looked up in reference to how to get from Dearborn, Michigan to Stamford, Connecticut was looked up at the Henry Ford Centennial Library in Dearborn, Michigan, and at U of M Dearborn, Michigan campus library. Now, in order to be able to look up transportation routes, Greyhound and Amtrak to get to Stamford, and then Stamford's bus lines and services, and then I looked up a little bit the public information, information concerning the public transportation that was available in Stamford to get me to Ridgefield. So I took some Amtrak buses and trains and Greyhound buses to get to Stamford, and I was gang stalked along every transportation service route getting from Dearborn, Michigan to Stamford, Connecticut. And once I arrived in Stamford, Connecticut, I was gang stalked along every single one of my routes, every single day and night that I arrived there. And everything that I put up with in Stamford, okay, and Canton, Connecticut, and when I went out to Hartford, Connecticut on one visit, okay, was completely connected to being a gang stalking victim. Now, let me again, like I stated, I'm going to have to talk fast in this video. Now, In organized stalking, gang stalking, criminal expeditions, there's information online all over the internet that targeted individuals of this crime are being implanted with a whole slew of different types of implants, stimulated responsive implants, including bladder implants. So you can go to Google and type in bladder stimulator implants or bladder stimulating implants and research at least 5 whole pages of web pages that come up. Then go back to Google and type in bladder stimulator implants and gang stalking. Now, set that aside for a minute. That's one reference that you need to research. Now, you can also go to Google and YouTube when appropriate and type in BCI implants, which are brain-to-computer interface implants and gang stalking. In fact, all the implants that I mentioned and all the other technology that I mentioned in this video can be cross-referenced to gang stalking as well. Also go to YouTube and type in United Targeted Individuals Europe extended version. That's a YouTube video. That video has some information in it pertaining to some of the type of brain-to-computer interface implants that are put in targeted individuals. Remote neural monitoring is another absolute technology that is being used to interface with the implants. Okay. BCI implants, stimulated responsive implants, EMG implants, bowel implants, which control the fecal functions. Number 2, when you go to the when you have to go to the bathroom. Now, when you research all these different implants that I have stated to you, including the Vero chip, I think that's spelled VERI. And then remote neural monitoring, how that works to interface with and control the functions of these implants, I think you will clearly deduce that it's no accident once you see all the information that comes up by typing in these descriptions. You will absolutely conclude that these technologies are being used on gang stalking targeted individuals. Now, let me give you an example. When I went to Stanford, I was immediately gang stalked and I got tired of it. They came to my hiking area where I pitched my tent up at, waited till I left, and then slashed up the entire tent. The top, the sides, the front, the back, and even the bottom. The day they did this was the day it rained. I was staying in a little area that had this little itty-bitty creek, like a mouth of the creek that went behind me was real small. So I didn't think I would get flooded out as a result of being there because of the size of it. But what I didn't know is that this little itty-bitty funnel of a creek that ran behind where I pitched my tent up at was connected to a bigger mouth of a riverbed. So when it rained, that whole area got flooded out, and I didn't know it. Okay, I had to hurry up and find a selected spot once I arrived that night when I arrived so I could sleep that night, and I just continued to stay there. The gang stalking of me started on all routes getting to Stanford and in Stanford immediately once I got there. So what they did was they projected the rain forecast, okay? They knew where I was at, okay? And so what they did was they waited until the day it rained and came up and slashed my tent. When I was gone for the day at the Stanford Library, I came back to that area and noticed that it was slashed up. It had rained that day as well, and I had to go through almost 3 hours just to get inside the tent, recover it back up in order to use it that night. The next day when I left, I thought to myself, I'm just going to leave it up. If they do it again, I went and bought a backup tent. Well, when I came back, it rained periodically throughout that day. I got back in the tent, and then it rained that night, and all the water came up and flooded the tent up. Okay, so I had to call the fire department to come and get me out of there. They took me to the hospital, and I all of a sudden came down with a migraine. So you can also go to Google and type in directed energy weapons and migraines and gang stalking. Do it. Okay? Just bear with me. Now, after I left the hospital, I went to a laundromat and washed my clothes that got all soaked, as many as I could while still keeping clothes on my body. And then when I left the laundromat, I got on a bus and headed back towards that area so I could see if the flooding had dissipated and to grab my backup tent with a migraine. And then an individual on a bus started talking out loud like, yeah, you know, if a person's homeless, they can go to any church around the area and get help. So what they did, and then he also said it flooded really in a lot of areas last night, and a lot of homeless people got drowned out of their areas, and that those areas hadn't subsided yet in reference to the flooded water. So basically what they were doing were propping up an asshole on the bus to say these things in order to lead my thinking that I would not be able to go back there, while bringing up while trying to induce my thinking that I could go to a church. Now, did they know that I was looking up any church in the area? Absolutely. Cyber surveillance is a method of gang stalking, and I was looking up churches in the area from the Stanford Library. Go to Google and type in libraries and gang stalking and cyber surveillance and gang stalking. So basically what they did was they used the flood. I came down with a migraine, okay, while inducing thoughts in my head that I could go to a church while I got a migraine, while I got wet clothes, and while I haven't had another area selected yet to go to. So I got off the bus and went to this church. They took me to they took me to St. Luke's homeless shelter, influenced me to sign the papers to be a client, okay, to stay there, and I was gang stalked up the wazooks in this shelter. There's also another woman by the last name of Pittman who talked about being gang stalked at the Norwalk shelter, and the Norwalk, the little town of Norwalk is right next to Stanford, and the Norwalk shelter and the St. Luke shelter were directly connected. They were owned by the same parties. Just two different shelters and two different communities. So I got online using their computers at the St. Luke's homeless shelter and filled out some ACLU complaint forms concerning what I was enduring in Stanford and at St. Luke's. And then I discovered that the only way to follow up on that ACLU complaint was to go to Hartford, Connecticut, because the ACLU office that was dedicated to Stanford, Connecticut was located in Hartford. So I left Stanford, went to Canton, and then was going to try and figure out how I could get from Canton to the Hartford community in order to go to the ACLU, and which is what I did. Now, I went to Hartford, Connecticut from Canton, Connecticut by looking up their transportation routes to get from Canton to Hartford at the Canton Library, where I was gang stalked up the wazooks as well. Go to Google and type in libraries and gang stalking. So I got off the bus, where the bus picked me up in Canton and took me to Hartford. And as soon as I got off the bus, I went to a Burger King that was right off the corner, I think, of Pearl Street. I went to Burger King and ordered a combo with a large soft drink. I drank that, was gang stalked inside the Burger King, went to the bathroom after I left the Burger King, and then went right back to that corner bus stop where the bus dropped me off at. And then I started looking around about which way to take concerning my directions that I printed out from the Canton Library to get to the ACLU. And then all of a sudden, I had to go to the bathroom, number one, in an extremely, in other words, I could barely hold it. Right after I went to the bathroom at Burger King, not even 50, 60, 80 feet away. So I'm looking around, looking to see what business I could maybe go into so I wouldn't have to go back to Burger King to go to the bathroom. So I'm standing there right off the corner where the bus dropped me off at, and I'm noticing all these people come out of this building. And so I started asking a few people that were coming out. I go, what is this place? I asked about 4 people. 3 of them ignored me, and then a woman came out and said that it was a mall. So I said, well, malls got bathrooms. So I went in, and as soon as I went in, within 10 feet of the first door is another door, and there's just this little easeway in between. So I went in the first door, then immediately walked through the second door, and then 10 feet away from there is a security booth. And then right next to the security booth is a counter, and right next to the counter is a body scanner. So here I am having to go to the bathroom to the point to where I can barely hold it. Right after going to the bathroom, not even 10 minutes before. And so I had this pocket knife on me on my waist, which was under 3 inches. And so when I seen the body scanner, I thought to myself, well, geez, you know, if I got to go to the bathroom in order for me to go anywhere in this building, it looks like I'm going to have to go through the body scanner. And the security guard was sitting right there at the booth where the scanner was. So I started saying to her, I got to go to the bathroom, but I had this knife on me, okay? And I was going to continue to say, where do you want me to put it so I can go through the scanner? She interrupted me as soon as I said, but I got this pocket knife on me, okay, to take a phone call. That the phone rang. Okay, that's where I got cut off at in reference to stating these things to her. She then got off the phone and said, well, this is a business. We don't have public bathrooms. And so I said, okay, well, I go, would you happen to know where, I think it was Park Street, was the name of the street the ACLU was on? She pointed me into the opposite direction concerning where the ACLU was actually at. So I left there and continued to go down the street, asking people along the way if they knew where, because I was looking, too, to see if there was any, like, fast food restaurants I could go to the bathroom. No fast food restaurants. So I asked the person if they knew where a library was. The Hartford, Connecticut library was right there. I went to the Hartford, Connecticut library, went to the bathroom, and then started noticing the time, and it was getting too late to continue to go to the ACLU. Okay, so I stayed at the Hartford library for about a half hour, 40 minutes, okay, and then left there and went back to the bus stop where this building was, right at it. And I'm standing there waiting for the bus to get me back to Canton, and a Hartford, Connecticut police officer pulled up, parked, approached me, and arrested me for carrying a pocket knife, claiming that Travelers Insurance called them, trying to claim that I went in there and was talking about having a knife. Go to Google and type in insurance companies and gang stalking, security guards and gang stalking, and then police and gang stalking. Cross-reference that to gang stalking and bladder-stimulating responsive implants. They can stimulate you to go to the bathroom to cause a need for you to have to urgently go. Hyperstimulative implants, bladder implants. They then have a person walk out of the business and tell me that it's a mall to get me to go in. They know I got a pocket knife on me because I was literally gang stalked at Walmart where I bought it at, in the aisle I bought it at. They take the information and then work together in a cooperative relationship to bring about an event, an arrest. I'm in San Diego, California, and my name is Leslie Williams. Why would somebody come out of Travelers Insurance and tell me that it's a mall when the entire building is dedicated to Travelers Insurance? I'm in San Diego, California. My name is Leslie Williams. I made this video to inform, to expose the truth. Now, remote neural monitoring can also be coupled with voice morphing capabilities. Okay? Meaning that they can clone your voice. You hear me talking right now? Okay? They can clone your voice and then use the computer that the remote neural monitoring is in, which is nothing but a mainframe computer that your voice print has been put in, and then create a dialogue set concerning what you can do in any matter. So they can, the computer that the remote neural monitoring is, that's got your voice print, it's called voice morphing, voice cloning, can transmit psychological direction through composed sentences and then streamline that voice morphing dialogue set into your audio cortex using your own voice print in order to transmit psychological direction into your audio cortex so the target hears it in their audio cortex believing that it's their own thought. Oh geez, I can go in here. It's a mall. Do you understand? Like you hear me talking to you right now, okay, I'm going to go in here to go to the bathroom. They can transmit that into your audio cortex while they're stimulating you to have to go to the bathroom in such a way to where you can barely hold it. Okay, I can go in here, it's a mall. You had the extreme stimulated response that you got to go to the bathroom so bad that you're going to piss your pants within a second. While they're transmitting in your audio cortex, I can go in here to go to the bathroom because somebody told me that it's a mall. So you can go to Google and even YouTube and type in remote neural monitoring and voice cloning, voice morphing, gang stalking. And then how they can streamline audio voice morphing psychological direction into your audio cortex. They're also called audio cortex implants. Do you understand? Now, why was this done? If it was done this way, to produce an arrest. And why would that be done? So later on, even if you go to another state, that arrest can be on your record. And then when they bring about another staged event towards you, like in San Diego, and then use an individual to claim that you pulled out a knife, so they can claim that you're a threat to yourself or others in order to take probate control of you, to use you for federal and state and local funds, racketeering, and for insurance fraud. Inside a syndicated run, organized crime group home they place you in as a result of claiming you can't take care of yourself because you're homeless and won't get out of it, even though they create the homelessness of you. and then prop up the staged event where the individual then accuses you of pulling out a knife. And then they say, well, it's already on your record that you were arrested in Hartford for having a knife on you. And they changed the excuse why they arrested me 5 times in Hartford. And the only reason why I didn't stay and demand a court trial for that was because I had to hurry up and get out of Connecticut because I had a Social Security disability review coming up in in October. And they kept changing the court dates for this. It happened in May, and they kept changing them all the way to late July and August. Okay, and they knew through the third parties, through the church that I was still corresponding with, that I had to leave Connecticut in order to get to San Diego so I could get a post office box. So I could run a post office box in my name so Social Security could send me the review papers in time. So they were taking the information and juggling it to the court date, late July, August. They knew I had wanted to leave Connecticut by August so I could get here to San Diego in time to rent this P.O. box and find a camping area before October when the Social Security disability review papers. Now this is what they do, is they take the information they know that they're scrutinizing concerning people that have entered your life, the church members. Okay, you tell them I got to hurry up and get out of the state so I can get to San Diego in time so I can get a P.O. box rented in order to get the Social Security disability review papers sent to me by October. They know this. I told them that I had to hurry up and leave by August, so they kept changing the court date to late July. Do you understand? They take the information and use it so you can't get out of the ticket that they gave you so they can keep it on your record. It was a 3.5-inch pocket knife that was on my waist. I never took it out in Travelers Insurance lobby, and I in no way said any type. I just needed to go to the bathroom. And why would somebody come out of Travelers Insurance and say it was a mall? It was done to bait me to go in. I'm in San Diego, California, and my name is Leslie Williams. So Google everything I'm stating to you, and you will witness truth. Bladder-stimulated responsive implants aren't all over the internet to be connected to gang stalking if they're not being used. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.